What's up, RotoGrinders? I am Stevie TPFL. We're here for Grinders Live NBA edition. It's like the morning grind in the afternoon. We got my buddy Will Priester, Chief Justice 06, rocking the Hattie Bees hat. And anytime you're rocking a Hattie Bees hat, you know it's going to be a big night. We had day baseball, which I'm sure everyone kind of indulged in. Now we get some NBA. Will, what's happening, my friend?
Nothing much, man. Early baseball was good for me today, not great. Just pretty much doubled my money, which is, hey, I'll take the profits. But yeah, I mean, I just couldn't put the right combinations together today for whatever reason. So we'll see if we can turn the tide tonight for NBA and help people make a few dollars, put a few more dollars in their pockets for more early baseball tomorrow.
Yeah, we get to run it back some early baseball tomorrow. I think a couple of those games got postponed already,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of stinks. But hey, I mean, hope everyone in that area is staying safe weather-wise, but ready to talk some hoops. We have a nice little 8-gamer. I say nice because it is April 5th. It is, that end of the season time for NBA where you have teams still trying to win. You have teams that are out of it resting guys, and you have teams that are securely in and not really moving that are, kind of giving guys some days here to finish the season. So a lot going on in NBA. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the YouTube chat. What's up, YouTube? Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Like, subscribe, help us out, and let's get into it and get started. We'll go game by game, because, hey, that's my thing, right? Like game by game is kind of what we do. Will, we got the Knicks and the Pacers. We got a lot of people out here for the Knicks and the Pacers. Really, what are your thoughts when looking at the Knicks here in this spot?
Well, I think, in terms of the guys you're going to have available, quickly Grimes, RJ Toppin, Mitch, they're going to play. I don't think Tibbs is going to limit some of these guys too much, like Quickly and Barrett and Mitch. I don't think he's going to pull them. So they should get a nice full run here. They're on the road. Indiana's playing young guys that want to prove themselves and kind of carve their niche carve their way on the team. So I think this whole starting lineup is probably intriguing. I know on FanDuel, I feel like probably Quickly and Barrett may be the best plays. Mitch Rob is probably just okay. But when you look at the DraftKings pricing, where Obi Toppin's a little bit cheaper, Mitch Rob's a little bit cheaper. Those guys probably are fairly interesting on that particular site. So where Mitch Rob is, 5,400 on DK and Obi's 51, I think those are clearly much better prices, and you probably want to get some exposure to them. I mean, Quickly's got the big upside, obviously, so you can play him on either side. But just the cheaper guys, or maybe the fringe guys, Toppin and Mitch Rob, I definitely prefer to play them on DraftKings.
I will say that with Barrett is questionable with an illness. He's expected to play, but it is also April 5th. So if he were to potentially sit, I mean, it'd be hard. First of all, it'd be really hard not to play Quickly in that scenario. But I would assume that like Josh Hart would get 32 to 35 minutes if Barrett ends up sitting in this game. So something to just kind of note and pay attention to. Washington's out with Randall and Brunson. So kind of a game where it almost seems like New York is giving these guys a day. I mean, it's right. Like it's the thing that makes the most sense. They're not going to catch the Cavs for the 4 seed. The Nets are not likely going to catch them for the 5 seed. It just seems like, hey, we're going to be the 5 seed, and we're going to give these guys a couple days here down the stretch. So Pacers, they're officially out of it. They're done. So looking at the Pacers side of things, no Duarte, no Halliburton. Turner is questionable. I'm kind of leaning more of I highly doubt he plays the rest of the season. So we'll see. But I mean, I'd be shocked if they don't shut him down here. So let's talk about this Indiana side. I mean, we're going to see Numhard, Matherin, Nuora, Smith, Neesmith, like Jackson, they're going to give these guys minutes in these last 3 games. Like, let's see what we got kind of thing. What are your thoughts here on these Pacers guys?
Yeah, I think, for me, like the young guys, it's where it's at. And then they get a matchup with the Knicks, who are down some of their bigger pieces tonight. This game is actually pretty intriguing to me. Only a 4.5-point spread anyway. So, Benedict, Nwora, all of these guys, I think all of these pieces are in play. I'm hoping they just shut Buddy Hield down too. Like just get him out of the rotation. Just stop playing him. Stop playing TJ McConnell too. Just let all the young guys play. Jalen Smith, O'Shea Brissett. Just let those 6 to 7 young guys play, and the other old guys can just cheer them on the rest of the season. I'm hoping that's how it is. I'm going to start attacking this team with that mentality and just play the young guys and let everything settle out. And I think tonight, playing both sides of this game, kind of stacking this one up, I think it's a good proposition. I've got another, what I feel like is a competitive game that I like, but I think this one should have some fantasy goodness in it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Buddy Hield and TJ McConnell are both guys that are under contract next season. So like TJ McConnell, they kind of know what they got in him. Why go out and risk him getting hurt? I couldn't agree more with you. I mean, this is a great spot. Like these last 3 games, if you're the Pacers, you're not really moving unless, you're trying to lose a few games to hope that like Washington or Orlando win a game or 2, and then like maybe you get a better draft pick. But still, I think this is a great opportunity for them to give these young guys minutes. So, I mean, DFS wise, I really like Nuora. I think he has a massive ceiling. We've seen him get a huge increase with Halliburton and Turner off the floor. So if Turner ends up sitting, I have interest here in Nuora, Matherin, Numhard, really all these guys. I think all these guys are fine. We know that Jalen Smith is a good fantasy point per minute producer. No Julius Randle on the other side, so it's a little bit easier of a matchup for him. So, all right, Brooklyn at Detroit. On the Brooklyn side, I mean, it just continues to be Ben Simmons out. The Nets, I think they want to stay ahead of being in that like play-in situation. So I think every game really still matters for them. Like, because right, you want to be the 6th seed. You definitely don't want to be in that like scenario where you have to play and potentially get knocked out by the Raptors or the Bulls or the Hawks, for that matter. So let's talk Brooklyn. Again, I think every game matters for them right now. Will, do you like anything here in a fantastic matchup against the Pistons?
Yeah, for sure. I've been, playing a little bit of Mikal Bridges and Spencer Dinwiddie almost all the time because they kind of run this team. You don't ever know when the 50-point fantasy game is going to come or the big 40-point fantasy game. If you look at Dinwiddie, like his last 5 games, 46, 41, 35, 46, 14. And then even before that had a 50 sprinkled in there. Matchup with Detroit could definitely yield fantasy goodness. The problem is Detroit's just down so many bodies. Does Brooklyn just put this thing away early? Maybe. But I definitely think you can get some exposure to them, to Dinwiddie and Mikal Bridges. They're both, Dinwiddie's 8K on DraftKings, Mikal Bridges is 86. And then on FanDuel, Dinwiddie's 8K and Mikal Bridges is 91. So Dinwiddie seems to be the better play of the bunch right now. And I'd absolutely, get in on some Dinwiddie action for sure.
All right, let's go over to the Detroit side. No Bagley, no Bogdanovich, no Burks, no Cunningham, no Diallo, no McGruder, no Stewart. Liver is doubtful. Yeah. I mean, just
these guys are going to score.
They are. I mean, Ivy, Hayes, Wiseman, Duren, like they're gonna play minutes in this spot. I mean, they can play hard in this game, and they probably still end up losing. So, pretty good spot. Anything like jumping off the page to you here?
I just saw on DraftKings, Killian Hayes 5,800, RJ 3,300, Duren 51, Wiseman 53. I just think all these prices are probably too cheap for the roles they're going to have tonight. Am I expecting them to lose? Yes. But do I expect them to just kind of, not score fantasy points? No. And I feel the same way on FanDuel. Like, I think these guys are going to score enough fantasy points to help. I'm not saying we've got to play them all in one lineup, but I think, maybe you put Duren and Wiseman in a group. Maybe you put Ivy and Hayes in a group. And, and then maybe you put RJ Hampton and, Amrui in a group or something like that, because I do think he'll play some minutes tonight. Maybe put those guys in a group, but I think just group the two big men, the guards, together and then move it from there, because I think one or the other out of both of these groups, like Hayes or Ivy, will probably have a big game. Duren or Wiseman will probably have a big game. And then Hampton, Amrui, Joseph, one of those three will probably have some type of a good game for their prices. I think that's the way to play this team. And maybe you end up with two in your lineup, but I still think that may be okay because they're just really down bodies.
I think Ivy would be my favorite of the two between Hayes and Ivy. Like, Hayes is playing good minutes. Ivy just has massive usage. They're only going to have 9 bodies tonight, if I'm counting correctly, assuming that Livers sits. So they're not going to be really in a position where they can, sit guys and not give them a lot of minutes. So I think this is a great spot to maybe even like you said, just kind of group these guys out and get, just get some guys here. Only 218 total. Detroit has one of the lowest implied team totals, but I really like this spot for Jaden Ivey. And then like you said, either getting Duren or Wiseman makes a lot of sense in this spot. All right, let's go. Moving on. We got Toronto at Boston. No Otto Porter Jr. Still, Gary Trent is questionable, dealing with some back spasms. The Raptors still technically have a chance to get to that 8 spot. They're locked in now, right? Like, they're clinched into the playoff play-in position. So it's going to either be, it's really, they're just kind of fighting for the 8 seed right now with the Hawks, and it matters, right? Well, at the end of the day, you want to play that play-in game at home. So I think Toronto is going to be a full go here through these next 3 games, or until they're not like either in or out of getting that home game. So talk to me here. What do you like for Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, this team to me, Stevie, has been very weird with Jakob Poeltl coming over. I kind of haven't been playing the Toronto Raptors at all unless there's been like an injury. So like today, you've got Pascal at 93 on DK. You've got Scotty Barnes at 81. And ultimately, their fantasy scoring hasn't been there consistently. I think if I was going to play one guy between those two, it would probably be Pascal. I feel like Poeltl's kind of in this island by himself because he's 7K. He's only center eligible on DK, and he's put up some pretty good numbers. So I think I'd probably still take a tournament shot on him. He's had some pretty good upside. And I feel like Van Vliet has probably been the most consistent throughout the Poeltl, not experiment, but Poeltl coming to the team. So I definitely take a shot on him. Not really thrilled about OG, and I put Scotty and Siakam in a group and then kind of go from there. Chris Boucher has had some games, but I feel like I want to play him when they're going to play like Detroit or Washington, somebody they should kind of handle it, and he'll get some extra garbage time run. I don't think today's the day to play Chris Boucher. I think we just kind of stick with the starters here. I know Gary Trent's 4,600, but I think I'll let him sit on the shelf. Poeltl's kind of in this class of his own. Van Vliet, to me, feels like the right play. And then Scotty and Pascal are in a group, and I just want to play one or the other. OG, I won't play at all.
I think my problem with Toronto overall, like right now, is just the pricing, especially on DraftKings. Like, I want to play Barnes. I think it's a good spot for Barnes. I just don't want to pay $8,100 for him. So if you're playing on like FanDuel or Yahoo or something, and he's a little bit cheaper and it's easier to fit him in there, I don't mind that. This is a spot I could see Barnes having a good game. On the Celtics side, Gallinari still out. Al Horford out with some stiffness, and then Pritchard, Smart, and Tatum all questionable. So, we should be getting this news here soon. This is a game that kicks off at 7:30 on the East Coast, so we should get this news soon. But it's big news, right? Like if Smart and if Smart and Tatum sit, Brown is 9,400. I mean, he would just be a lock and load type of play. What are your thoughts on the Celtics?
Well, let me pose that with a question, Stevie. I know we're talking DFS here.
Yeah.
How much do you think the Celtics value the 2 spot versus the 3 spot? Because if they don't really care, right? Because I mean, if they stay at 2, they're playing the Heat currently. I mean, they're playing the Heat. If they're at 3, they're playing the Nets. Pretty much exclusively, unless something.
Well, the Heat would be in the play-in game. 7 and 8 play in the play-in game. I would assume the Heat win that.
I think the Heat are getting in. Though. I'm not worried about the Hawks. I'm not. So, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, they'll get one of these bottom feeder teams. Do you think they care about whether that they're in the 2 or the 3 spot here? Because if they do, maybe they trot their guys out and win this game. If not, they're really not losing much between 2 and 3, because either way they're going to have to play the Bucks at home court. The Bucks are going to have home court advantage anyway. So it just doesn't seem like they're giving up much by resting their guys, and that's why I don't know if they play tonight. That's really where I'm headed with this. I'm not sure if they play.
I mean, I think you want to be the 2. I mean, if the Bucks get eliminated before you have to play them, then you get home court. So, I mean, I think you want to be the 2. They play Toronto and Atlanta to kind of finish out the season this weekend. So, I don't know. I think we see Boston rest guys eventually. Is it this spot? I mean, I have a hard time seeing a reason for them to play like Tatum and these guys on the back-to-back. Tough game last night against the 76ers. So I'm with you. I think that this is the spot we see the Celtics sit these guys, and then we see them, play the Hawks and try to beat the Hawks down the stretch. And so, I mean, I think we see these guys sit. They're playing the same team in Boston on Friday, so they get the Raptors again Friday, and then the Hawks on Sunday. So I think they could win one of these 3 games and be okay, seeding wise. So I think they sit today as well, but we'll wait and see. I mean, if Tatum does end up sitting and Smart ends up sitting, my biggest question to you is, if both of those guys are out, I like Brown. I'm sure you like Brown as well, but what are we doing with Derek White? He's not cheap price tag.
But it seems like every time those guys have sat recently, he's putting up 40 burgers. It's just, I think no matter what, he's 6,600 on DK. He's 6,500 on FanDuel. I think no matter what, I play him. Even if everybody feels like he's overpriced, I take the shot. I play him. And if he puts up 45, then I'm being real grateful, because nobody decided to take that shot at the mid 6K price tag.
And do you have any interest in Robert or Grant Williams? Robert Williams sat last night, so Horford could sit tonight. Horford sitting tonight. Any interest in the bigs, knowing that Toronto typically plays pretty big?
Yeah, I like Rob Will, 4,700 on DK. I mean, that's really a really good price for him. He's 5,800 on FanDuel, and I know price is relative to site, but 4,700, Stevie, is still, that's really cheap, I think, for his upside. Definitely a better play on DraftKings. I think we get our exposure there.
All right, Washington at Atlanta. I mean, we already kind of know what's going on here with Washington, right? Wright is out, Porzingis is out, Monte Morris is out, Kuzma, Bradley, Denny. They're just saying, hey, we're out of it. We're not going to play our guys. Can you blame them? I mean, if they kind of lose out and Indiana or Orlando wins a game, they potentially have a better draft pick. I can't blame them. I completely understand. But now it's like, what are we doing with Washington? It's a good matchup against Atlanta. Goodwin is likely going to be one of the highest owned players on the slate for good reason.
Yeah.
Where else are we going here with this Washington team?
I think so. Let's talk about Goodwin, who's got, what feels like the lock button ownership. But I think it's the right play, Stevie. I mean, we're going to see Atlanta. Atlanta's going to play fast. They haven't been great defensively, and that also doesn't mean they're going to lose. It just means I think the Wizards will have some opportunities to score some buckets here. And so I like Goodwin. Johnny Davis has kind of been this interesting favorite because his minutes have picked up, but he doesn't have the same ownership projection as Jordan Goodwin. And I think we need to be playing Johnny Davis as well. If he's going to play 35 minutes, at 4,800, they're pretty much about the same price on DK. So I think he's in the mix. You look on FanDuel, Johnny Davis is 4,200. Jordan Goodwin is 5,500. And look, Johnny Davis is 47% on FanDuel. Jordan Davis still has higher ownership, but I still think you can play them both. But on DK especially, where you've got such a large ownership gap, and Jordan Davis is $100 more, I don't think that's the right ownership discrepancy. I think they should be equal or pretty close. So I like that. And then even if you look at this Kendrick Nunn, who's 3,800, which I totally get, at 3,800, had a big game against Milwaukee in very limited minutes. If he's going to get 25 minutes a game now, I'm in. I think you take your shot tonight and see where it goes. Because tonight may be the last night tonight is probably the last night you get him sub 4K on DraftKings. He's 4,500 on FanDuel. So I think on DraftKings, you still take your shot tonight and see what happens. But, you don't have to play him in cash. I think, 150 build or 20 entry max, anything 20 entry max, at 20 entry max or more, I think you're getting some Kendrick Nunn tonight.
35% usage rate last night for Kendrick Nunn, and anytime that he was on the floor, he was trying to push the pace. And if he's trying to push the pace against Atlanta, they're going to try to push the pace back. So I think Kendrick Nunn's a fantastic tournament play. We had a question over there from Derek in YouTube chat. Any interest in Jay Huff? I'll start it. I'll say yes, I do have interest. Played 26 minutes last night. There's a lot of people out. I don't think they're worried. Like, we're not too worried about like a back-to-back for him. And honestly, I don't think they really want to play Taj Gibson. So I think this is a spot. Yeah, this is a spot you can. I think you could definitely take some shots on Huff, or Xavier Cooks. I think is another guy that you could potentially take some shots on. I've heard rumblings that they want to get him some minutes here. So tournament-wise, he played 26 minutes last night, didn't do much, didn't have a big usage rate. But, if you want to take some tournament shots at minimum salary, I'm not going to talk you off of it. So I think the main targets here are going to be Davis, Goodwin, and then Kendrick Nunn. And I'm just worried, honestly, like, what are we really looking at for Gafford down the stretch? Is he going to be someone? I know he got in a little bit of foul trouble last night, but is he going to be someone that minutes are going to kind of be cut down the stretch as well? I think Corey Casper is going to play minutes. It's just you're paying up for him, and you're getting the same type of production from Davis and Goodwin at much cheaper price tags. So I think Washington's a team you can play 2 or 3 people from, and I wouldn't talk you off of any of them. And then going to the Atlanta side of this game is, Atlanta is still in the position to potentially, get that home court. And, every game kind of matters for them, especially with like Toronto and them tied. I think Atlanta has the tiebreaker over Toronto. Talk to me. What do you like here for the Hawks?
You got Trey here on DraftKings at 8,700. Feels fairly low to me. I like it, especially in this spot. You got DeJounte at 79. I don't mind him as well. I think Saddiq Bey is the wild card. You've seen his minutes here, Steve. The past couple of games, over 30. I think you take a shot here tonight. In my mind, I thought, maybe Bogdanovich would really have a stable role. And he played 30 minutes against Chicago. But all in all, we've seen them have this slight commitment to Saddiq Bey here recently. So if that's going to be the case, he's a great tournament player in my book, only sitting around 14%. I like him a ton. We've seen, once again, John Collins' minutes be all over the place. At 5,300, I don't hate it as well, but yeah, Bay is definitely a guy I think you consider for tournaments tonight.
Yeah, I think Bogdanovich pretty questionable. I know they played last night. They're kind of trying to limit his minutes with that knee, and I really think they want him for the playoffs. So I would not be shocked here if Bogdanovich ends up sitting in this game. Hunter's already ruled out for this game, so like with that, like if we do get news that like Bogdanovich is going to sit, I don't mind taking some tournament shots on Jalen Johnson. I think there'd be 20 to 25 minutes in this kind of rotation if Johnson or if these guys were to end up sit. So he's 3,400. He's another cheap, like large field tournament play here. So don't mind doing that. And with that, we get to bring on Keith Eyster, Eyes 819. Keith, what's happening, man?
Not too much, gentlemen. How's it going?
I mean, it's Monday. Or Wednesday. We had some day baseball. And
we did.
I
had a nice little sweat earlier. Had a single entry. I ended up finishing third with Jacob deGrom, who was there any doubt he was going to get right back on track. Couple walks late cost me, and then I had Dylan Cease also, who had a few too many walks. But nice little baseball sweat. Really excited to get in and break down some basketball with you guys.
With Will, I'm leaving. So hey,
right.
Thanks for coming on and filling in for me. Yeah, this was all planned. This is like we're going to the bullpen. We're bringing in the lefty with Keith Eyster. I appreciate everyone hanging out. Keith, we're on the Chicago-Milwaukee game, and I'll let you take it away. Will, always fun. Thanks, everyone on YouTube. Morning Grind tomorrow, 7-year anniversary for the Morning Grind tomorrow. We're going to give away some stuff, so make sure you're tuning in and hanging out with us on the Morning Grind.
See you, brother.
Awesome stuff, man. Shout out to Stevie and running that podcast for the last 7 years. Just a great way to start your morning. Get some great information really early. Great way to start your research. Chief, how are you doing today? Good to see you, man. Excited to break down the rest of this NBA slate with you.
I am good. So, for those of you that know, when MLB comes back, I am heavier in the DFS streets, but that doesn't sacrifice my pick'em sites. And Keith, I almost blew it out of the water today. Played six different entries, and pretty much all of them were double ups. I was
I'm
one.
gonna guess you got hooked by Cole.
No. I took Cole.
Cole.
So here's the thing. I took Cole's fantasy points. His fantasy points projection on Prize Picks. So I cleared that fine. He needed to get the win, obviously. Got the win. So it's just, but I mixed and matched every card wrong. I took Aaron Nola on the other side. I took his fantasy points under. So here are my projections or I don't know, squares that missed. It was I took who pitched for the Giants today?
Webb.
Yeah, I took Webb more than 4.5. Hook.
Yeah, he finished with 4.
Yeah, I know. I took Keller less than 15.5 pitching outs, but I took more than 4.5 strikeouts because I thought, or over 4.5 strikeouts. I figured he would get the Ks, but have an implosion like he always does. And it just never happened. I look at the end of the 5th inning, he was at like 69 pitches. I said, well, there goes that. And then I had Javier's fantasy.
I was on Webb too. I bet that one straight. Just obviously 12 Ks against the Yankees in his opening game. I'm like, man, this guy's taking a step forward. He had 4 with like 50 pitches in, and he just did not get one the rest of the way. That one really hurt.
Yeah,
we're going to get to the rest of this NBA slate in a minute, I promise. But we have all kinds of time here. You and Stevie were flying through this. Only 5 games left. We got over 45 minutes here before crunch time crew comes in. So go ahead. Tell me the rest of what you had going on.
And then I had Javier more than his fantasy point projection. It was at 41.5. So for me, here's how I typically do it on the pick'em sites. If their K line is fairly high but they're really not Cole or DeGrom or somebody like Javier is good, but for him to get 8 Ks, he's got to be really rolling. Cease is electric, but he's not going to get 10 Ks every game. So when they've got to get 8 and 9 Ks, if they're not Cole, DeGrom, Scherzer, and I know Scherzer's going to have a rough start, he'll pick it up. Well, if it's not kind of one of those 3, then typically I'll just go with their fantasy point line because I'm like, well, they're going to get a handful. They may not make it to 9, but they'll probably get 7. And then it's just up to Babbitt. Do they not get hit hard? And Cease just ran up the pitch count through 5 innings, but he still got the win, so he was fine. But with Javier, I needed Javier to get one more strikeout, and he would have cleared his fantasy point prop. He was at 98 pitches. Last pitch, his last at bat was like an 8 or 9 pitch out. Didn't get the strikeout, so he finished 6 innings, 5 Ks for like 90-something pitches, and I knew that was it. I was like, well, he's not going to go over that fantasy point projection. But all in all, like I said, you miss 1 or 2 legs in all these, and it's like out of all these cards, typically if I'm making that many, I get 1, and that's really all I'm looking for. 1 big one, get a couple double ups. Today was pretty much all double ups, but listen, I don't complain about profit. There's a whole new slate for NBA tonight, whole new slate for NBA tomorrow. Plenty of time to rack up those dollars.
That's it. Can't complain about a nice little double up. Can't go broke making a profit, right? That's what they say. So
correct.
It's nice to get close. Like I was at the top of a tournament today. It's always nice to finish number 1 when you get the right team up there. But you take the profit and you move on. And we've got a nice little NBA slate here that we can go ahead and fire away again still tonight. Let's go ahead and get back into it. We've got Chicago at Milwaukee is our next game. 231.5 total here. Milwaukee favored by 7.5. Milwaukee pretty much locked into the 1 seed. I think they need to win one more time. Boston has an outside chance to catch them, but really unlikely scenario there. Chicago is still fighting for seeding as well, so they should be playing at full strength. Injury reports are pretty clean for both teams. Caruso out for the Bulls, Grayson Allen out for Milwaukee, and Pat Connaughton out for Milwaukee. Let's go ahead and start on the Chicago side here. Are you liking anything for the Bulls here in a tough matchup with Milwaukee?
So here's the thing. I was trying to reach out to one of my good friends. I feel like, and Keith, listen, man, you just kind of correct me because I'm trying to go off of memory here, and I know it is going to be a DFS tie-in. I feel like the Bulls and Bucks always seem to be a close game, no matter how good or bad the other team is. It seems that way to me. The Bucks are at home; they're clearly the better team, but I think the Bulls are still fighting here. So I feel like this should be a competitive game. I'm looking on DraftKings. We got Beverly at 4,400. Like, we probably don't need him today because of all the other great value. He didn't have as much upside. But you've got Levine and DeRozan here at 8,400 and 8,600. And, really what you need, we're asking for both of these guys to kind of hit in the 40s. And I don't know. I think if the game is tight, they get there. But I just don't like the pricing. But I feel like we maybe put Levine and DeRozan in a group and play one or the other. And I think that's what we do. I think that's the way to play it. I like Beverly, but I don't think we need him on this slate with all the other young guys that are going to be playing 35 minutes against bad defenses. That's my read on the Bulls. Put Levine and DeRozan into a group, and maybe Vooch as well, and just play one out of the 3 at any given time.
I like that angle a lot. The Bulls are always a difficult team when all 3 stars are active, right? And then you add in a really tough matchup at Milwaukee. But they are fighting for playoff seeding. So I think they're going to play this game hard. Comment in the chat here from Ryan. He says Bucks are going to throw out their starters soon. I am a little bit surprised myself that they're not resting anyone today. Like I said, they're pretty much locked into that 1 seed. I think they would pretty much have to lose out, and Boston has to win out. Is the only way Boston can get the 1 seed. That may not be the exact scenario, but it's something really similar to that. So I am a little concerned on the Milwaukee side, but agree with you here on Chicago. I think one of these stars is gonna be able to pay off their price tag here, even in a tough matchup. They're gonna see big time minutes. Like, you could see 40 minutes from any of the three of them. Probably more likely to be DeRozan or LaVine. But I like the idea of not necessarily game stacking it, but just one guy on each side in this game. I'd be totally fine with. A group, you put DeRozan, LaVine, and Vooch in the group and put 0-1, and you run that in your multi-entry script. If you're doing that, I think that's a great idea. It's always hard to predict which one is going off, but the ownership numbers here we're seeing on DeRozan under 10%, LaVine right at 10, 11, and then Vooch way down there at like 3%. DraftKings is what I'm looking at here for those ownerships. Those are pretty nice numbers here on an 8-game slate, and they all have potential to go for 50 fantasy points in any given game. So like that call. I probably don't mess with anything else on the Bulls here value-wise. We're projecting Patrick Williams to draw the start, just Milwaukee being a little bit bigger on the other side. Caruso being out, so I think that makes a lot of sense. They go big here with Patrick Williams. Just not doing enough per minute for me to be interested.
Yeah.
Patrick Beverley, 4,400. I mean, you might get a ceiling game out of him. I don't think in a matchup with Drew Holiday, that's the time I'm going to try to chase it. So really not looking at anything value here wise for the Bulls. You have any interest outside of maybe playing one of the 3 stars?
Nope. This is it. Just those 3.
All right. Fair enough. Let's move it on over to the other side here. Milwaukee. Obviously, you've got Giannis with a really nice looking projection there. I'll just go back to that conversation of what are the Bucks doing here? Do you think like nobody on the injury report outside of the 2 they've already ruled out was very surprising to me when their injury report dropped? I figured they rested Middleton already this week, so I figured that maybe Drew or Giannis could get a day off potentially. Not seeing that. Are you concerned about any of the starters being limited just because they're pretty much locked into their 1 seed and we'll see if they end up resting him in the second half here?
Well, here's the thing, and I did kind of a look ahead. Thank you. Listen, Steve's the man. Everybody click the like button just for Steve. You have to do this.
That's right.
Just for Steve.
He's on
click
point with his gifts.
What I will say is, so you've got the Bulls. The Bucks are at home tonight. They're at home Friday. They're on the road Sunday. So my guess is they play the starters tonight. They play them Friday at home. Like I'm thinking about home games, and you know how the people have gotten about the fans, and I understand it. Like the fans spending their hard-earned money. Some of them won't be able to afford going to the playoffs. Maybe they play the starters at home. It's not a back-to-back situation. Maybe they play them at home tonight and Friday. And I'm almost positive, Steve, they aren't playing any starters come Sunday, April 9th against Toronto. I don't see it. I don't see that at all. So I think they play the starters tonight. I think they play them Friday. I think they've already planned to not play them Sunday, which is typically what we see anyway. You know how this is going to be one of the last slates of the year. It's going to be bench warmer city. So I think they play tonight, which gives me a lot of intrigue into Giannis. I'm not playing Middleton. I just think he's too much at 9K, but Giannis at 11.4 in this spot, I'm very interested. He's my number 1 target from that team.
Yeah, I'm with you on Giannis. I think you made some really great points about being at home. These teams are also like not very far apart. There's a bit of a rivalry here. Obviously, Milwaukee has been a much stronger team in recent years. But there is a rivalry here. I think that matters to the fans, and I think you made some great points about Milwaukee. This is a game I feel comfortable the starters are going to get full run. There will definitely be rest situations down the stretch. I think that Toronto game is a great call by you. But feel confident we're going to get full run from Giannis here as long as the game stays close. It's a great spot for him. 11-4 on DraftKings is certainly not something I'm going to shy away with all this value that we have. 12K on Fanduel is even fine. I agree. I think he's one of the top spends on the slate. Middleton, too expensive. Agree with you there. Drew Holiday's price is up as well. So it's like I said, that's why I'm saying 1-1 is because I just don't really like the pricing on the rest of the Bucks. That's a bit surprising with a couple of the wings out. But they've all been priced up because Middleton missed some time, which allowed guys to like Ingles at 4,400. I'm not chasing that when we have all this other value in the 4K range. So yeah, it's just Giannis for me too. And I just think, just reiterating, feel pretty comfortable as long as the game stays close. We should get full Giannis run here. All right, let's go ahead and move it on to Memphis at New Orleans. Let's here. We've got a 227.5 total here. Pelicans are 6-point favorites in this one. On the Pelicans side, pretty clean injuries. Zion and Alvarado have been out for a good while, so really nothing to report there. Memphis, we have Ja Morant doubtful, so that's got some guys popping here a little bit. We also have Xavier Tillman as questionable, in addition to Adams and Clark, who have been out for a while, and then Luke Kennard is doubtful. So some definite injury situation here for Memphis. We've got Tyus Jones popping as he usually does. Without Ja Morant, very fair price on Desmond Bane, who could be in line for some more usage. Big ceiling for Triple J here. Let's see. Let's go ahead and keep it on the Memphis side here. How much interest do you have in these Memphis guys without Ja Morant?
Well, I think anytime Ja is out, that definitely helps Tyus Jones. He's not $6K on DK. He's $5,900. Once again, we've got some value tonight. Like, I do think the Detroit value on DraftKings is pretty good with RJ and Duran, Wiseman, even Killian Hayes. So I like that value better than the Pacers value just because they're a little cheaper. And if I had to side straight up and what's probably going to be a more competitive game, I'd say Memphis, New Orleans for sure. So I like Tyus Jones at $5,900. He's a guy that we've seen. He's got 50-point upside. Not saying it's going to happen tonight, but it's there. I think he ends in the mid-30s as somewhat of, let's call it, slightly above a median range of a floor. I think he ends in the mid-30s. So I think he's in play, and his ownership's probably going to be a little bit lower tonight. Like, you see him at 18.9% on DraftKings. If we didn't have as much value in some other spots, his ownership would probably be 30, 40, 50% on this slate. So I like him a ton. I think we commit to playing Tyus Jones. Desmond Bane at 84, I think, is just okay. I don't think it's anything that we have to be, jump and scream about. Jaren Jackson at 81. I'm probably more interested in Jaren Jackson than I am Desmond Bane in this spot, to be honest with you. So those are the guys I think I'd be interested in. The bench guys, I'm really not thrilled about, unless Tillman is out. Like, if Tillman's out, then we're going to get we might be able to play Aldama, Roddy, or Contra, depending on how they set up the starters. My assumption is Aldama would start, but I think that opened it up for Roddy off the bench. So I think Tillman is the linchpin that's going to open this thing up. Whether he's in or out, I think determines what we do with Aldama and Roddy. But ultimately, I think Tyus Jones is still in play no matter what. Yeah,
agreed. Absolutely love Tyus Jones. A little bit of depleted ownership. Most recent update, I just did a refresh. 457 on our own last ownership run. Has Tyus at 25% owned on DK. And I believe he was similar to that on Fanduel. I can flip that. About 33% on Fanduel. So grabbing a little more ownership on Fanduel, but we've seen Tyus Jones in these situations be around like 60% owned. So getting him below 50, I think, is a fantastic idea. And that's obviously, you've got the Washington stuff, Indy stuff. There's plenty of value on this slate. And Tyus Jones is priced up a little bit, but we've seen him drop 50 fantasy points in this scenario plenty of times. Massive upside. He's just too cheap for this role. And I love that we're getting a slight ownership discount on him because of all the other value on the slate. So I'm actually happy that Tyus is priced up a little bit. Like I said, 50 fantasy point upside in this scenario. Pelicans do play decent defense, but still they should be able to keep this game close, even without Ja Morant. Agree with you that the Xavier Tillman situation is something I am monitoring. It's Aldama or Roddy is the one likely to start. I don't really care which one starts. I think they'd both be playable. Probably Aldama grabs the start, and at 4,600 should be in line for upper 20s, maybe low 30s minutes. Fantastic value play there if Tillman is out. And Roddy, we already have projected to play for 26 minutes. I definitely think he gets a slight bump, like probably not much, but he could go see like 30 minutes without Tillman on the floor. They're getting pretty short on bodies if Tillman gets rolled out as well.
Yeah. Tatum and
like
Marcus Smart are out, by the way.
Marcus Smart got rolled out. Okay.
And Tatum.
Tatum out.
Yeah, Tatum and Marcus Smart. Just
That's
got the alert
obviously
on
a big
phone.
deal.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and jump back there. I think we're going to have plenty of time to fly through the rest of these last 3 games. Let's go ahead and finish out this Memphis-New Orleans game. Then we'll jump back and talk about Boston a little bit. Once we get a projections update, we can refresh. And I'm not sure if we'll have an updated ownership, but obviously we're going to have a little bit more interest in Boston now with a big piece like Tatum being out. And was Smart on the injury report?
Yeah, they both were, I think, earlier.
I know Tatum was for sure. I wasn't positive about Smart. But yeah, not too surprising to see them resting guys. Like I said, the really outside chance that they can grab the 1 seed from Milwaukee. So
here's what that means to me too, because I know we were talking about this Milwaukee game. To me, what that means is, and look, Boston can still win this game tonight. So let's say that they could still win this game, but I think they're content with where they are, which I don't know. Like I said, I think Milwaukee plays their guys tonight, but if Milwaukee wins tonight, their starters may not play Friday or Saturday or Sunday for what it's worth.
Right. I think 1 win from Milwaukee would lock them into the 1 seed.
Yeah.
I will say that does add a little risk to the Miami starters, and Giannis is the only guy we were really interested in there anyway. It doesn't take me off of Giannis, but I will say there's slightly more risk now with Boston resting Tatum. I don't know. I feel like Milwaukee could possibly. Oh my goodness. We have a report of Giannis out in the chat. Is that true? It would not surprise me.
It hasn't come across my deck yet. That doesn't mean I'm right.
I see it here. Giannis is out. I knew. They were just waiting on Tatum news, and if Boston was going to rest Tatum, they're going to throw in the towel. I would not be surprised to see even more dominoes fall on that Milwaukee team. They're a team that's famous for injury report shenanigans. Giannis being listed on the report is probable. I was very concerned about something like this happening.
Always.
At least we don't have to worry about whether he gets full run or not. We just know he's out.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, gosh. Well, you
Good
know
thing
what?
we have lots of time left because the entire slate just changed.
Chris Middleton just sat anyway. We should have known this. I should have known. I was trying to give them some credit. Oh, well, it is what it is.
Yeah. All right. So that definitely just drastically changed the slate. So we still have plenty of time.
So I like the Chicago guys even more now, believe it or not. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, you're taking the former defensive player of the year off the floor. Certainly should be more open lanes for them.
And let me just say this too, Keith. Sorry, I cut you off. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
But here's what I will tell you, and this is something I've kind of lived by just throughout my fantasy career. It's not cookie cutter. It's not end all be all. It doesn't mean it's going to work every time. But typically what happens is, like, when let's say a guy like Giannis is out, we all rush to roster Holiday, Middleton, Carter, Lopez, as we should. But we don't think, wait a minute, the other team is now actually going to have a better chance to score more fantasy points. So I always think about the other side probably a little bit before I think about this side, because that's the side we all want to rush to. And for those of you that are in the sportsbook streets and the pick'em site streets, guess what happens? Chris Middleton props, Holiday props are coming down. Beverly, Levine, DeRozan, those props are still up, and you can still get those. And that's what I'm going to be doing right now while we're on this show. I want to be getting some exposure to some Chicago projections, because that will change, I think, their ability to stay in this game and play more competitively.
Absolutely. All right. So just a quick recap. Obviously, Jaylen Brown's going to get a huge bump with Tatum and Smart out. Derek White becomes one of the best value plays on the slate now, in my opinion. Would have been iffy if Smart had played, but now that Smart's out too, I think Derek White's a smash at 6,500 on FanDuel.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm checking his DK price right now. Yeah. 6,600 on DK. Fire up Derek White for sure. Grant Williams probably gets a little bit of extra run. He's priced up though. Don't love that one. Brogdon very much in play at 6K, could be in line for 30 minutes here. So definitely a lot more interest in Boston than we had before. Recapping Milwaukee, Middleton is priced up. He's cheaper on FanDuel, and he's gonna pop on FanDuel a little bit. He's 9K on DraftKings. he's playable at that price, but I don't think he's a must play by any means.
No. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I don't think that's anything near must play category.
Yep, and Drew is priced up as well, 8,800 on DraftKings. Let's check his FanDuel price here real quick. 7,700 on FanDuel. That's going to look pretty nice, I think. And again, we're going to keep monitoring that Milwaukee news because it wouldn't surprise me if they just kind of go into punt mode on this game now that they know Tatum is resting and Smart is out. So we'll see. Stay tuned to Milwaukee. Let's go ahead and keep moving on. Finish up this Memphis New Orleans game. I think we pretty much had Memphis wrapped up. Just to recap that, we love Tyus Jones. Jaren Jackson has huge upside. We're monitoring Xavier Tillman news. Santi Aldama or David Roddy would become excellent value plays if Tillman were to get ruled out. Desmond Bane, about fairly priced, but has big-time ceiling anytime John Morant is out, so you can certainly play him as well. And now we will move it on over to the New Orleans side. Pretty interested in some Memphis exposure. Brandon Ingram priced up a little bit. We've got CJ McCollum here as well. They've been kind of in this situation without Zion and Alvarado for almost a month, I think, maybe even a little bit over, depending on how long Alvarado's been out. But priced pretty appropriately. You interested in running back your Memphis exposure with any of these Pelicans?
It's kind of a tough spot for me because on both sides, they're priced pretty efficiently. If Tillman is out for sure, maybe I take a tournament shot on JV, who, even most recently as a week ago has had some big games, up in the mid 40s. I think, he's a guy you can take a shot on. Brandon Ingram has been putting up big scores, but you look on FanDuel, he's 9,900. You look on DraftKings, he's 9,900. I don't think it's worth it anymore to be playing Brandon Ingram. So I feel like JV is a deep tournament play for me, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little more interest in Ingram and McCollum just because I am playing so much Memphis. I do like to play one piece on the other side. I just think like NBA is not correlated like baseball is, but I do think there's still some positive correlation in a game environment. Like games can get sped up by turnovers. If you get overtime, that's obviously the nut scenario. But I generally like to have exposure on the other side of a game when I'm attacking one team heavily. I think it's a great way to differentiate as well. Like you're seeing Ingram and McCollum coming in around 10%. JV, who's your preferred play, down around 3% here on DraftKings where I'm looking. Love that ownership number on JV. Obviously, he's a guy who could end up playing 24 minutes and completely bust at his price tag, but he's also a guy that could end up with 50 fantasy points at the end of the night and completely smash a slate. So don't like playing him when he's chalk, but when we're getting less than 5% owned Jonas Valanciunas, I'm all about that in tournaments. I think Ingram and McCollum still have a chance at a ceiling game, even against a tough Memphis defense. But they're two guys who can put up a good number for you. Not guys I'm going to play much more than like 15, 20%. I generally play like 20 lineups a night. So just 3 or 4 lineups for me, but I wouldn't kick them out of the pool. Not guys that I'm necessarily targeting either. Don't really have any interest going down to the wings. Like I said, the prices have pretty much adjusted on all these guys. Murphy's priced up. Herb Jones just doesn't have quite enough usage. Not much interest in these secondary New Orleans pieces. How about you? Anything?
No, not at all.
All right, let's go ahead and move it on to Sacramento and Dallas. We've got a 242 total in this game, big total. 6.5 points Dallas is favored by. Let's see here. Injury report, I believe, is pretty clean for both teams. Yep, clean on the Sacramento side. Let me see. I'm losing my place here for Dallas. Why am I not able to find Dallas's injury report? Dallas is pretty clean also. I don't think
nobody that's important, because the only important pieces are Luke and Kyrie, and they're playing.
Yeah,
really
great point. Yep. All right, so we'll start on the Sacramento side here. I believe they are locked into their position, the 3 seed in the playoffs. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Dallas, however, on the other side is currently sitting outside of the play-in tournament right now. So we know Dallas is wanting to play here. Not sure on the Sacramento side. You have any take on Sacramento's motivation in this game?
I mean, I don't think they're incredibly motivated. I think their players are going to play, but I think if it's just not coming together at some point in the game, they just say, well, we'll just pull our guys, let them do their thing, and let's just not get hurt going into the playoffs. Especially for a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who's had some injury issues, in the middle of the season. I'm sure they don't want to strain him too hard going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And I'm looking, they might have an outside chance at the 2. They're 2 games back with like 3 to play, right? So probably not happening. Yeah. And if they lose this game, they're locked into the 3. So I think they're just content just knowing they're going to be the 3 seed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just going to kind of be business as usual. Like they're not going to push their guys by any means, but I think we should be comfortable with low 30s minutes for Fox and Sabonis. Talk to me about the matchup here against Dallas. Sabonis is a guy we've seen has been a really consistent producer, but ceiling games are rare. Like he's not a guy that's going to go out there and throw up 70 on any given night, but he's probably going to get you 45 plus on nearly every time he takes the floor. You have any interest in targeting Fox or Sabonis or even any of the other secondary pieces on Sacramento here?
Well, I don't hate it. But because it looks like right now on this slate, the big spins are probably in the Lakers game, like between LeBron and AD, because they actually do really want to win. Like they've got real incentive, and the Clippers also have some real incentive. I mean, this is a big game tonight for them, and I'm saying that because Dallas is sitting here at 11. They're right on the outside looking in. Like, do they want to get in and try to make a play in and be an 8 seed and play the Nuggets? I don't know. Like, it feels like their season is about down the drain if they don't win tonight. So I think they're going to play. So it does feel like Luka's a good play, but I don't think he's better than AD or LeBron with the stakes that they have in their game, and I can get a 2K discount. So I like Luka, don't love Luka, like Kyrie, don't love Kyrie. I don't think they're must plays, but in tournaments, I think you get slight exposure because of their ceilings. But all in all, I don't really want to play anywhere from Dallas.
Yeah, similar thoughts. I think my interest is a little bit higher than yours, in particular on Luka. Agree with the Kings side, like Sabonis, I take it or leave it. It's really impossible to stack Luka and Sabonis, which is really how I would want to do it. And if I'm playing Luka and Fox, that's just too many guard spots that I'm allocating to this game stack that I don't think is necessarily going to be the best game environment of the night. Like a lot of the value is in guard spots, so I'm careful about how I'm using those. So just Luka by himself is really what I'm interested in. And I think they're trying to get into the playoffs here. They made the trade for Kyrie. I think it would be a massive disappointment if they didn't get into the playoffs after that trade. So they're going all out here, in my opinion. And Luka is a guy that has as big a ceiling as anybody on the slate. I like 11% on Luka. It's not very difficult to get over the field on that. Just give me 15, 20%, and I'm happy with that. Just targeting, this is a spot that he could play 40 minutes if they have trouble putting Sacramento away. Then I could see Luka playing just massive minutes here. Dallas really cannot afford to lose this game if they're trying to make the playoffs. So more interest in Luka than Kyrie. The Kyrie ownership number is extremely attractive also. So if somebody else was on Kyrie over Luka to save the money, I'm not going to talk them off of that one bit. I'm just going for the 80-point game from Luka, I think is how I'm playing this. Excuse me. That's about all I have to say about this one. Let's go ahead and move it on over to this final game of the night. And we're going to have plenty of time to take some questions or something. So go ahead and feel free to get us some questions in chat. But we definitely have a very competitive game here to close out the night. Interesting slate setup. And I think that's definitely worth taking some time to talk about. This is a game you're going to want to game stack if you're playing it, I think. It's an hour and a half after Sacramento Dallas starts. So there are going to be no pivots. I believe we're going to be on the same page, but it's worth noting that LeBron and AD are both questionable on the injury report. This is a must-win game for the Lakers. Like, they are trying to fight their way out of the play-in tournament. If AD and LeBron were to happen to sit, though, in this game, either one of them, like, we're going to want to target this game even more. So I like building it with at least 2 players from the game just in case. But I'm pretty confident AD and LeBron are playing. What are your feelings? Let's talk about the Lakers injury report first before we get into the game.
If I will say this, if LeBron or AD sit in this game, I think they're actually hurt.
Yeah.
Like, or they actually need to not play today, because if they win this game tonight, it's gonna benefit their team to avoid the play-in tournament. Probably more than any of these other teams, because Zion's coming back, but Zion hasn't really played much all year. So, him getting close, it doesn't mean as much for the Pelicans, I think, as it would be for the Lakers to get AD and LeBron a few extra days to just sit back, relax, go through some walkthroughs, get some treatment, stuff like that, especially LeBron at his age, who's still been playing fantastic. But look, he's the elder statesman in the league now. Like, he's got to get treatment and get the more rest he can get, the better he's going to feel. I think this game means a lot. I think they want to win this game. I think if they can win this game, just even on paper in terms of what they've gone through throughout their season, Russell Westbrook, over with the Clippers now, was with the Lakers, still ending up in a similar spot in terms of the playoffs almost. I like this game. And I know that seems to be more narrative driven than, statistics or numbers driven. But I do think that's a part of this game in terms of the Lakers not wanting to be in the play-in. I think they want to win.
100%. I agree with that. I don't think that's narrative driven at all. Like, an older roster, you mentioned LeBron's rest would really help this team out as they try to make this playoff push here. LeBron's not getting any younger. This is his, like, let's be honest. Like, I don't care where he ends up or who they end up adding to the roster. This, just because of LeBron, the player, being the age that he is, this is probably his best chance to win a championship the rest of his career. I don't think it's very likely to happen, but this might be his best chance. So I don't think that's narrative at all, that the Lakers really want to get that 6th seed. And just to make it crystal clear, the Lakers and Clippers are currently tied for the 6th seed at a 41-38 record apiece. I do not know who has the tiebreaker off the top of my head. Are you aware of that, Chief?
I don't know right now.
Okay.
But what I do know is this. If the Lakers win tonight, they have a better record than the Clippers. They get the Suns at home and then the Jazz at home. If they win tonight, they can win one more game. So I think the Lakers want to win. And the Clippers also want to win too. Like, that's the thing. Like, the Clippers don't want to lose this game either. This is a competitive game. I'm going to be watching. Like, I'm going to stay up personally and watch this game for what it's worth. even on, because you're not in Eastern time. Are you on Pacific time, Keith?
I am. Yep.
Yeah. See, so this game for you is at 7
is dinner
o'clock.
time for me. Yeah.
Yeah. This game for me is bedtime. But I'm going to stay up and watch this game. Not even for fantasy purposes, just to see how this all unfolds. I like it a lot. So I'm with you. I love LeBron. I love AD. I'm building as if they're playing. Like, that's the way I'm taking the approach. I'm building as if they're playing, and I'm not if they're out. The thing is with this game, if one of them are out and I'm not playing them both in the lineup, which I'm probably not, I could easily just plug in Kawhi. It's not like I'm stranded if this game kicks off at 10, if at 9:30 they say, well, hey, LeBron or AD is out. No problem. I just have Davis or LeBron in a utility spot. I can easily plug in Kawhi, and I don't really lose too much upside.
Yeah, so just like depending on the site, obviously, let's go ahead and break down the salaries here. You've got AD on DraftKings at 10.9. You've got LeBron at 10K, and you've got Kawhi at 10.2. So if you have AD in your lineup, you can easily just drop down, leave the 700 to Kawhi. Or LeBron, if AD gets ruled out and LeBron's in, then LeBron's a fantastic play at 10K. Obviously, you need to set it. If you have LeBron in your lineup, you need to make sure you have 200 left over to be able to get up to Kawhi. Still, it's not very difficult to set up rules to do that. On FanDuel here, we've got 11-6 for AD, 10-6 for LeBron, and 10-2 for Kawhi. So again, very easy pivot. If LeBron or AD were to get rolled out, very easy pivot down to Kawhi. That's a great point there. I wasn't really worried about either of them missing the game before, but now even if they miss, I'm not dead. If I have to leave $400 on the table and go from LeBron to Kawhi, I am not worried about that one single little bit. So I will build as if they're both playing as well, 100%. I'm debating this still, but I've considered building in a rule where one and only one of AD and LeBron are in every lineup that I'm playing.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? Like, yeah, I mean, I think that this game, like, there's enough value on the slate. It depends on how much Luka I want to play, because obviously you can't play AD and Luka. So I probably build like 15 lineups like that, and then build another 5 set, like excluding AD and LeBron.
Keith,
but I'm perfectly fine going. Yep.
I know it doesn't seem like it. As crazy as this sounds on this slate, like when you mentioned that, you might be able to get away with it. Like you might. Like if you can squeak, because Jordan Goodwin you can get him at shooting guard or point guard, I think. And so, it's just like all this weird cheap value that you're getting. Like, do you like Durant or do you like not Bagley? The other center from Detroit, Wiseman. Like you're gonna end up with this weird collection of odd plays, but if you can stomach that, you may be able to get away with it. It's just you're going to be really thin, and like you're going to need all the value to like really come through for it to work. That's the only thing. But I think you can pull it off because you're left with if you've got Luka, Goodwin, Davis, you're left with 4,400. I'd probably throw in let's see. I'd probably almost have to play RJ Hampton at that point to open it up a little bit. I'm just saying it's not impossible. It's just thin.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of value in Washington. It's doable to build that lineup. I just worry if there's enough upside. Obviously, if Luka and AD both go for 80, it's like, then you don't have anything to worry about. You don't need the value to do very much. You've got cheap guys for Washington all over. Like Xavier Cooks is a very viable play, in my opinion, tonight. There's certainly ways to make it work. So, you're correct. I wouldn't necessarily prevent that from happening if that was to land in my build. Any other pieces outside of LeBron and AD that we're considering? D'Angelo Russell, 7,600. Austin Reeves had a mighty great run there for a while when LeBron was out. He's still priced at 7,500. Like the rest of these pieces are just really tough with AD and LeBron both in there.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing with AD and LeBron playing and both playing fairly well. I don't think Russ, D'Lo, and Austin Reeves are going to have the same ceiling. So their prices, they probably need to be around 6,500 and under to like actually even think about playing them now. It's helped their team. So like their team is way better with these guys playing. But from a fantasy perspective, I can't play anyone outside of LeBron or AD.
Well, I've got some news here that's going to make that point even more clear because RJ Barrett has been ruled out. I already loved the Knicks. Stay tuned for Crunch Time. That's coming up in about 4 minutes. I will definitely be giving you my thoughts on the Knicks. I love this spot for the Knicks. With RJ Barrett out, there's some massive usage rates coming in for Emmanuel Quickley. A guy like Quentin Grimes, we've seen pop off in this scenario before. So like there's just, we've got Randall out, we've got Brunson out already. Now we just got RJ Barrett out. That is the Knicks' 3 highest usage players. So all kinds of value in New York. Pulling up some pricing here. Josh Hart, I think, is going to become a very viable play. But my 2 favorites, just to give you an idea, I already have tagged as my like core plays Emmanuel Quickley and Quentin Grimes in lineup HQ, and that was with Barrett in. So you can imagine how much I like those 2 guys now. I'm going to add Josh Hart. I'm going to add Mitchell Robinson. I'm going to add Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'll see what Obi Toppin's ownership looks like. But if he comes in significantly lower than those guys, I'm going to be way over the field on Obi Toppin. Throw Miles McBride's name in there too. There's going to be all kinds of usage to go in around for New York, and they're playing Indiana.
This game, so this was already my favorite game. Like, so the Lakers Clippers is the game I want to watch tonight. So like, 10 o'clock. I'm even going to talk to my son. I'm going to see if he wants to sit down and maybe watch this one, have a little father son time, and my fiance can watch it too if she likes. Please, the more the merrier. But from a fantasy perspective, Keith, I've been on this Knicks Pacers game all day. Like, I'm not hopping off of this game when you're getting quickly with, none of the high usage guys, Grimes, and now you're telling me RJ's out too. On DK, this game is a gold mine, I think.
I completely agree with you. Like I said, I had him tagged before this RJ Barrett news. I was on the expert survey today. My answer for the player I will be most overweight on is Emmanuel Quickly. So I was already playing this game massively. Being the first game of the night, like, people don't like to lock up roster spots. I'm not really concerned about any of the news on this slate. I'm especially not concerned about it now because everything is broken. We know Tatum is out. Giannis randomly got ruled out, which honestly wasn't that big of a surprise. And we all think that, or assume that AD and LeBron are playing. So I think we have the majority of the news that's going to shape this slate. This next game against Indiana looks very nice, very tasty. Massive usage for some cheap guys around here.
Tasty. This is a tasty game, Keith. This is a game that's tasty.
Yep, I completely agree with you. All right, we should have the crunch time crew jumping in any minute here. I asked for some questions, so I'll try to get to a couple of those here real quick. Scrolling up a little bit here. DK QQ, when you say stack, this is from Steven Smith, is a stack at 1-2 or 1-1. So with me, a 1-1, I don't even consider a game stack is what I'm talking about when I say a stack. 1-1 is technically a stack, but that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 2-1, 2-2, or even 3-2 in some scenarios, like value scenarios, like this Knicks situation. I'm completely fine going 3 Knicks in any lineup. I'll have to build kind of on the fly while I'm on crunch time as well. But I might be okay with 4 Knicks in a lineup because this matchup against Indiana, a shorthanded Indiana team at that, is about as good as it gets. So when we're talking about stack, at least me, I can speak for myself, generally talking game stack. How about you, Chief? 1-1 a stack?
Yes,
you're
same
usually
here.
talking 3 or more.
Same here. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Let's see here. A couple seating notes. Scrolling quickly. Bain or Middleton, last piece, FanDuel single entry from Lord King Guru.
Bain or Middleton, FanDuel?
Yep.
Hold on. I think on FanDuel, I might lean Middleton. Give me 1 second, kid. Let me check real quick.
He is a lot cheaper on FanDuel, yep.
I think because they're close. I still think I'm going to lean Middleton on FanDuel with no Giannis.
All right. Very good. Let's see here. I believe Jade asked favorite point guard and center on FanDuel for cash. Just so you know, we are TJ and Roth are going to be coming in here any second. We're going to break that down for you position by position. TJ will basically build you a full cash lineup. He's not going to give you all the answers, but he's going to make some great recommendations. Stay tuned for some excellent cash takes coming up in just a second here. Chief, I know you don't play a lot of cash, but do you have a take on that one?
Negative.
So let me rephrase that. Chief, I know you don't play any cash at all whatsoever. Stay tuned for TJ. TJ will answer your FanDuel questions very shortly
up, folks.
For cash games. But
I don't have anything against cash. My cash is pick'em sites, which is a little bit more than cash, but that's kind of my deal now.
I will occasionally throw out a few double ups and triple ups and things like that, but I completely agree with you. Like, the majority of my cash action has been replaced by sports betting. I can go bet props that I know I have an edge in, and this is any sport, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, even. I feel like I have a good enough edge against the books on prop bets that I can go double my money on prop bets on most days. So agree, but I do dabble in cash a little bit. But yeah, hang tight with that question. We will definitely have some cash game takes coming up very soon from the gentleman who just joined here. TJ has entered the conversation. That guy.
I must say, I'm always impressed. Like this wall that TJ has of action figures. I mean, it's freaking cool, man. Like, who needs a green screen when you've got the Captain America armor in the background and the figure? It's just, I like it, TJ. It's very cool, sir. I must commend you. That doesn't even include the other little ones that are like from my right, which would be his left. I mean, we've got Yoda back there. We've got he's got some nice pieces. I must say, those are some nice pieces that TJ has. And just to tell you where my life is, TJ, I'll pull something out. I've got a bunch of stuff like this laying around. This is a mini helmet from. I guess if I took it out of the plastic, it'd be a lot better. But see, this is the kind of stuff I got laying around. So I don't know how much better or worse. And I've got sports cards and stuff like that. But I must say, TJ, I'm thoroughly impressed with the amount of figures that you've accumulated. Looks great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I owe it all to DFS winnings.
All right, hop in here, man.
I got nothing. I too have a nice collection. You can see here. I've got this collectible baby cup here next to it. Another collectible baby cup.
Look at that.
I could probably find you some baby vomit if I searched hard enough.
Oh man.
It's really
while we're at it, let's start pulling out some of my favorite snacks. You probably can't see this. This is honey sweet cashews. Love these things. Good source of fiber. And you look, I can grab them and keep working, right? They're not messy. I don't have to sit here and be spilling things like sauces and all those things. Roth, you didn't seem enthused. Go ahead.
Here's the thing about cashews is that they're already pretty sweet and creamy, and to get honey sweet ones is just foolish. Just get salted cashews and they're better. So there's your mistake, sir.
Ooh, I like that take from Roth. I'm a huge fan of nuts in general.
So I've been doing this all wrong. I've been doing this all wrong.
Yeah, go standard cashews and get like honey nut peanuts or something, but or honey roasted.
Well, I like all of those things. I love them all.
Hey, I think we're here to talk a little DFS, though, gentlemen. I think it is time to dive into a little hoops. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Absolutely.
I jumped in late for Stevie, I guess, who jumped in late for Dean. So I was hosting the last show a little bit. They've already heard a few of my takes, but
I'm kicking out this man over here.
Yeah, Chief,
and the rest of us
getting kicked out.
Gotcha.
Steve, go ahead and drop the Kool-Aid Man gif. Drop it, and that way I can head out of here. Since everybody likes the brick wall now.
Good seeing you, man. Thanks for jumping on and giving out the winnings. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to it. It is crunch time now. Officially, it is sponsored by the one and only the Fanduel, and it is the show where we're joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. There you go. There's the Kool-Aid man busting through the wall. We got a couple of the sharpest minds here helping to walk you through this slate, and a few animals and babies as well, as per usual. We got Keith Eyster, aka the Iceman. Like you said, you've been here. You need no introduction. But what's up, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I had a very good baseball slate earlier today. I finished third in a single entry, so I've had a good day already. Trying to parlay that into an excellent NBA night here. I will say the slate has changed drastically since my research when I jumped on GrindersLive. We've got Tatum rolled out, and Giannis, who was probable on the injury report, also randomly ruled out. Not that big of a surprise. We kind of had an inkling the Bucks might pull some shenanigans if Tatum and Smart rested for Boston. That is, in fact, exactly what happened. But very excited. I think this is an awesome NBA slate. I'm going to have to be doing a little bit of rebuilding here on the fly and reworking my thoughts from what I originally joined with. But I think I have a good enough handle on the slate. It won't be an issue. We'll get a rebuild in and hopefully take down some more money today.
Great. And feel free to talk through those new thoughts as they come up, working dialogue as you're seeing things. Also, what was the key to your baseball success? What did you do today that others did not that got you third in a single entry?
Jacob deGrom, 15% owned in a single entry. Come on, people. What are we doing? What are we doing? Chas McCormick was my got a very cheap home run and a double, a couple RBIs from Chas McCormick. My main build was a Brave stack, which did not even do great. Matt Olson had a home run. He was a big piece of it. But a value stack from the bottom of the Astros order, all produced, with Chas McCormick being the big piece, and then Jacob deGrom just being Jacob deGrom and striking out 11 people was very helpful.
Very good. Was this on FanDuel? Because you only mentioned one pitcher.
No, DraftKings, and Dylan Cease, who I did not mention, is the reason I probably didn't take it down. He walked like 5 guys. He did have eight strikeouts, which helped. He didn't put up a bad score, but without the 5 walks, he would have went a little deeper into the game. He still got the victory, but gave up a couple of runs, walked way too many to go deep. But if he would have had a little bit of a better outing, I could have taken it down.
Okay, interesting. I feel like when I was talking to Cheese earlier today, Cease was brought up and the walks were brought up as well. So I'm sure that was in consideration.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a massive strikeout pitcher, but the walks are the things that tend to get him, and he was pretty wild today.
Okay, well, hey, congratulations. We do not sit on our laurels after a big win here at RotoGrinders. We get right after it. We get to another one. And to help us with that tournament build, we got TJ, who's just staring into the camera, just staring into my soul. What up, TJ? How you doing?
I am prepping the screen share to do for when we talk through these cash games and go through the slate, stuff like that. And so I was building the bones of a FanDuel cash lineup so that it's ready to roll when we start talking. I kind of forgot that my eyes were faced directly into the camera there, but I'm ready to roll as well. We got a wild slate with a ton of news. Some we expected, some not so much, and some we're still waiting on. And then it wasn't quite as strong of a baseball slate as it for me as it was for Keith, but more than doubled up my entry fees in my 50 lineups. So definitely a good morning as well. And I'm ready to run it back in NBA.
Very good. You just got to do that every single day, and you'll be a very rich man. Quick note from our sponsor, FanDuel. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to 1,000 smackaroos. That's dollars, in case I get in trouble for not reading this properly. Terms and conditions apply. Offer not available in Massachusetts, because if you're in Massachusetts, you get the offer of bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets. So make sure you are taking them up on those very generous offers from our sponsor. TJ, you are our cash builder for today. So you get to set the stage and walk us through what we should be doing. And then in the chat, we're pointing out that the $1,000, that's one band. It's you get one band is a match. That's what the kids call it, TJ.
Yeah.
TJ is a kid. He knows.
yeah, that's what I call it.
Youths. Let's start things out on FanDuel here. I started building in the screen share. I started building a kind of shell FanDuel cash lineup. We went from a few good plays earlier in the day when I was writing the expert survey to just a phenomenally huge amount of great plays, with the Knicks ruling everybody out, with Ja Morant doubtful, Giannis is gone, Tatum is gone, all kinds of craziness here on this slate. So if we look at Noto's core plays, he has Goodwin and Bridges and Doncic, but I don't think this is updated here since we have had all of the news. And so Emmanuel quickly now without RJ Barrett is just, and obviously no Brunson, no Randall. This is just an absolute must play here. I want to get him in the shooting guard position because we have so many great point guards today. Quickly is going in there at the shooting guard position. I realize I'm kind of going in reverse, but Goodwin, Quickly, and Tyus are the three I think you have to play. And then in your fourth spot, you're choosing between either Malcolm Brogdon or Derek White, pending how much salary you have left here. That does mean you're foregoing Drew Holiday, which is a little worrisome at $7,700 without Giannis. He could absolutely have a huge game today. But with just the price tags of these of all these other guys, I feel like they could end up putting a similar game output to Drew Holiday. And they have much, much lower price tags here. Jeremy, that news is all for Thursday. We don't care about that news. We're still waiting on the Trae Young news. He is questionable, as is Bogdan Bogdanovic. And so DeJounte Murray is somebody that we'd be looking at as well if if Trae Young happened to be out here, but we are still waiting on that news. And so in this last shooting guard position, like I mentioned, it's Derek White, it's Malcolm Brogdon, or if you want to forego Tyus Jones for a Drew Holiday, to each their own. That's I think that's fine as well. And then at the small forward position, I think for me, we're already playing quickly here. I think for me, Chris Middleton and Jaylen Brown are the two must-play guys that I want to roll with here. No Jason Tatum, no Marcus Smart, no Giannis Antetokounmpo. This build that we're going with here, it's going without Drew Holiday, and I still want to make sure I'm getting a piece of Milwaukee here in my lineup. And so Middleton is the guy I want to roll with alongside Jaylen Brown here. I think Jaylen Brown is the must. And then if you don't love this combination, you want to go elsewhere, I think Middleton would be the one you'd get rid of. And you'd look at somebody like Quentin Grimes, Desmond Bane, Royce O'Neal, Mikal Bridges. If you land in any of those spots, that's fine. But my preference of the group is going to be Chris Middleton today.
So real quick on Brown, the Celtics still playing for things like those other guys that they ruled out? That wasn't just a, hey, it doesn't matter. They're actually trying to win still? Or
they have they have an
Go for
outside shot at the 1 seed, but almost no shot. I think they have to win out, and Milwaukee has to lose all the rest of their games. So they're
are we
basically
worried that Brown is
basically
just
locked
like
into the 2.
And then in
Brown's not
theory, I think the 76ers could catch them as well with the same sort of scenario. If the Celtics lose out, 76ers win out. The biggest thing that I'm kind of taking into account here when looking at the Celtics is this is still a divisional game with the Raptors in the 9 seed. It's a must-win game for the Raptors. It doesn't feel like the type of game that Boston's just going to lay down for. You know what I mean? Like, I still think the guys who are playing are going to play full minutes.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough. Just curious. I don't want to run somebody out there who's only getting, 12 minutes. Okay. Let's keep it rolling into power forward, TJ.
So at the power forward position today, this is probably the most questionable position of the slate here on FanDuel. Xavier Cooks is popping as a potential value at minimum price. Obi Toppin at 5'9" is certainly in play. I think he's somebody you can land on, as is Royce O'Neal at 4'9". I think my favorite is going to be Bobby Portis at 6'7". Basically a core play type thing, leaving you with essentially a 2v2 here on FanDuel. But with Giannis out, Portis is probably the one I want to go with. And then I like pairing him up here with Toppin, maybe somebody like a Royce O'Neal. Jordan Nwora is fine if you happen to land there, or if you want to go cheap with Gill, who's starting, or Xavier Cooks, I think that is fine as a last piece as well. And then at center, Jalen Duren is our top play here. If you want to go Bobby Portis here instead because you really like somebody else at power forward, I think that's fine. You want to pay up for Jaren Jackson Jr., I think that's fine. And then if you want to land on Brook Lopez just because you have the salary and you get there, I wouldn't tell you not to, but the projections will. So keep that in mind.
Okay, very good. Did get a question about Grimes. Is that just more of a GPP play or any interesting cash, TJ?
Miles Turner ruled out. Bogdan Bogdanović ruled out. We are still waiting on Trae Young. No, Grimes is one of the people I mentioned as an option as well. I don't like him as much as Middleton, as Brown, as Brogdon, as Derek White. I like all of those players more than him. If you don't, you have a strong feel. He's in consideration. I wouldn't tell you not to. That's just personally not where I'm going.
Very good. Okay, nice. Ice, let's talk tournaments here. What's your game plan?
Yeah, so let's start with this Knicks Indiana game because it was already the game I was targeting the most heavily before the RJ Barrett news, with Brunson and Randall already out. Obviously, Quickly's an amazing play, and I was playing a ton of Barrett before he got rolled out. Now that Barrett's out, I want at least 2 Knicks in every lineup, I think. Quickly was going to be my highest owned player on the slate. Now that he's massive chalk and he's also the most expensive Knicks player, I will probably just match the field with Quickly. I absolutely love Quentin Grimes as my pivot. And I agree with TJ that he's hard to trust for cash because he can be very low usage. He can also really struggle with his shot. But we have also seen him put up a couple of massive ceiling games ever since the Julius Randle injury, really. He's got a couple of 8-9 rebound games in there. He's also got a couple of games where he's made 3, 4, 5 3-pointers. So Quentin Grimes has a massive ceiling. I love this spot for the Knicks against Indiana. I will be overweight on the Knicks as a team in general. But I'm kind of pivoting from Quickly being my main piece of the Knicks to more of these cheaper secondary pieces that are now stepping up into a much bigger role. Love Quickly, just tough to get over the field. Go ahead.
Okay, if you're playing Quickly, can you not play? Is this like a one or the other situation? Because
no, not at all.
No, you can play both Quickly and Grimes.
Yes, it's just
not.
Simply...
It's just important to remember that like there's only 4 spots and there's so many great guards.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep, and Quickly being the most expensive, I think I can get the production from the Knicks from cheaper spots and also far less ownership, which is a benefit to me in trying to pass a lot of the field in tournaments. Gotcha. So Quickly was my favorite play when I jumped on GrindersLive an hour ago. But now that's kind of pivoted to Grimes and Toppin, even Fournier. Like somebody has to take a massive amount of shots here. We know Quickly's going to do it. Mm-hmm. And the field knows Quickly's going to do it. That's why he's showing over 60% ownership. But for me to get 80, 90, 100% of Quickly is what I have to do if I want to beat the field with Quickly. I'll play the field with Quickly around 60, 65%. And then I'll go overweight on guys like Josh Hart, Evan Fournier, Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes. Even Miles McBride is in my pool, more so on DraftKings, but certainly in the pool still on FanDuel. Love this matchup for the Knicks against a very shorthanded Indiana team. I also want to run it back with an indie guy on most teams. Mathurin is my preferred option to do that on FanDuel. Jordan Nwora is certainly in play to do that with as well. I'll probably say McConnell for DK, and then a big Isaiah Jackson or Jalen Smith, I think, in play as well. Excellent way to differentiate. Like if you're playing the 3 highest owned Knicks guys, just play an Indiana guy on the other side who are outside of Nwora, nobody above 10%. Play a guy like Isaiah Jackson at 3% owned. You are massively different from anybody else who's playing Knicks chalk.
Very good.
Trae Young available to play.
Okay.
So
Ice,
DeJounte's still in play, but just a couple other games that I'm targeting. Obviously, the Milwaukee situation. That was a game I was interested in. Like Chicago's in the play-in tournament almost certainly, but they are still playing to make sure they stay in the play-in tournament. So like the Bulls stars, Levine and DeRozan, even Vooch, I don't mind in tournaments. Dallas is currently on the outside of a tournament play-in spot. Luka is expensive, but there's so much value on the slate. The Kings play fast. I think this could be a Luka blow-up spot. Anytime I can get Luka at 10, 11% ownership, I am very into getting over the field on that. The Lakers and Clippers are tied for the 6th seed in the West. The 7th seed has to go to the play-in tournament. So this is a massive game for the Lakers and the Clippers. AD and LeBron are both listed questionable. I'd be shocked if either of them sat this game out. It is also a game that starts an hour and a half after the last game of the slate. Besides, it locks, like Sacramento-Dallas locks at 8:30 Eastern. This game does not lock till 10. But Chief and I gave a very nice breakdown on how just pivot to Kawhi is the very easy thing. Build with AD. LeBron is cheaper and Kawhi is cheaper. If AD is out, LeBron is in. Very easy pivot. If they're both out, you can just go Kawhi. So there are options there.
If either one of those guys, LeBron or AD, is out, you want the other one, and you want
the other one's an absolute smash. So you just pivot 100% of your AD ownership to LeBron if it's one of them, and vice versa. If they're both happen to be out, then Kawhi, you can just go to Kawhi. So the timing is not ideal, but I'm not concerned about it either.
Okay. Something I want to touch on quick is we were projecting Isaiah Jackson to start at the 5 for Indiana, and it is Jalen Smith.
Okay.
Interesting.
Any interest in Jalen Smith?
Just for, I think that'd be just a tournament thing.
Yeah. I had a ton of interest in Isaiah Jackson. Smith is still a solid per minute producer, not quite as good as Jackson. Still have interest in both, though.
Okay. Very good. Anything else, Ice, before we kick it over to DK?
Nope. I think I'm good.
Okay. Very good. TJ, you get to take back the reins here. Walk us through a little DK build.
Will do. Apologies here that I'm on the screen share. It's going to have my exposures in here as I am still building my lineups. But in terms of core plays, cash game plays today, very similar stuff to what we talked about on FanDuel. I'm making a rule today, even in my tournament lineups, that I'm going to make my utility position a point guard 100% of the time. Every single one of my lineups, it's going to be somebody who has point guard eligibility, because this entire position is unbelievable. And so Emmanuel Quickly, Jordan Goodwin, two players you're immediately putting into your lineup. Jalen Duren, priced at like $1,400 cheaper than he is on DraftKings than he is on FanDuel. As you can see, I've bumped up a few of these player projections just to force them into my lineups at a greater rate than they currently are. Jaylen Brown is somebody you want to walk in your cash games. Tyus Jones is somebody that is going to be a core play for me that I want to get in all of my lineups in all my cash game lineups as well. So that takes us to the power forward position, where Obi Toppin is very likely the guy you're going with here. To me, the only other options would be somebody like Bay without Bogdan Bogdanovic today, Bobby Portis, obviously without Giannis. Everybody else on Milwaukee is kind of priced up to a point that I don't think they're necessary for cash games today. And then when you're just left with kind of at the forward spots and utility available, I think guys like Toppin, Grimes, picking a Knick player to put in there are probably your top options. Obviously, Portis, who we talked about. If you have spend ups, I don't think if you land on LeBron, that's a terrible thing to do. If you land on Royce O'Neal as a last piece, that's potentially okay. And then finally, the last thing I really recommend here is use that utility spot with a guard, because we have so many great ones. The Celtics guards, the Knicks guards, Tyus Jones, so many great guard plays today. And then obviously there's guys like Luka Doncic as a spend up as well.
Okay, I'm glad you ended it on that note, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get these chalky guys in with Luka and Ice. It leaves me in a spot where I don't have money. Like if you like Goodwin, Quickly, Grimes, these guys aren't dirt cheap. So once you pay up for 12K Luka, where's the value? Where's like the true value? I need somebody cheap, man.
Well, I mean, Goodwin at 4,700, that's as true value as it gets. Lead guard playing 30 minutes,
Okay.
like that's value.
Yes, agreed.
I will lead you to the Washington Wizards. That's where you're going to find cheap stuff. Johnny Davis, we saw him pop last night. A lottery pick who had struggled throughout the year. They've been giving him more run. Seems like he's settling in nicely. 4,800, not cheap, but can certainly smash that price tag.
I need
Kendrick
cheap,
Nunn.
cheap.
All right, Kendrick Nunn, 3,800. He got there last night. It was uncomfortable. He played like 22 minutes and he almost scored 50 DK points. Don't expect 50 from him tonight, but Kendrick Nunn at 3,800 should be playing 22, 24, somewhere in that range minutes tonight. He can absolutely pay off 3,800 for you. Xavier Cooks, another Washington guy who, like, Washington's so shorthanded, could certainly get some run here. We have him projected for 22 minutes. Wouldn't be surprised if he got 26 minutes. 3K flat. Doesn't get any better than that for you. So Washington is your answer for where you find the super cheapies.
Okay, what the hell happened with Nunn last night? Why was he balling so hard and only getting 22 minutes? Like,
he had like a 38% usage rate. He just shot the ball every time he touched it, basically. He was 5 of 6 from 3. I wouldn't expect that again.
Okay.
I think the shot volume will get there. He'll get his 10, 11 shots up. I don't think the minutes were only 22. And
that's all you expect again?
Let me see what we got him at. But yeah, at top of him, 23 is what we have him projected for. Like I said, don't expect 50, but it's like he can get 30 in 22 minutes, no problem. And that's almost 10x. That's usable in tournaments.
Yeah.
I would not be afraid to play Kendrick Nunn at all, even though it's low 20s minutes.
Okay. Well, I kind of got you sidetracked. You can start now wherever you want and walk through this slate.
No, that was Washington was a place I wanted to go because that is one difference between DK and FanDuel. Like that's like DK, these super value guys are what you need usually. It's more of a star scrub build than FanDuel. I also want to touch on TJ's point about the guards, which we might as well just jump right into position by position because it kind of leads us there anyway.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Derek White without Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart at 20% ownership. Are you kidding me? We're talking about Tyus Jones without Ja Morant at less than 20% ownership. These guys would be 40%, 60% owned on a normal slate in this scenario. Like, this is ridiculous. Just, you don't have to go too crazy off the board in this spot. Like, Tyus Jones at under 20% ownership without Ja Morant is criminal. But Jordan Goodwin is there. Emmanuel Quickley is there. Derek White, Kendrick Nunn. Like, there's just so many good value plays. Like, Tyus Jones is under 6K and there's no Ja Morant playing. He can go for 50 fantasy points in this spot. Like, that's a smash. And he's only 20% owned. He should be 40% owned. Luka at 12%. I'm extremely interested in getting over the field on that. DeJounte Murray, even though Trae Young is in, I'm still interested against a very shorthanded Washington team in a game that Atlanta wants to win. We talked about Nunn being a great value. Brogdon is another guy. Just, we've seen him play 30 minutes and absolutely smash in this spot without Smart and Tatum. So certainly have interest in him. I don't think you need to go too different from what's popping as great plays are all really good plays. And because there's so many of them, they're not getting enough ownership. So I would just be worried more about roster construction and correlating your lineups, like with game, like a 2-1 stack or a 3-2 stack, as a way to build my lineups and differentiate them using run backs on the other side. Like, talked about Indiana a little bit already. McConnell and Nembhard are certainly playable. They're not popping as extreme values, but if you play all the chalk with one of those guys, you are absolutely way different than a majority of the field. Play some Toronto guy, play a Van Vliet on the other side of Boston. Siakam is perfectly fine to play on the other side of that. Just correlate your lineups a little bit. On the other side of Washington, that's where you want to play DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. I think Clint Capella is an outstanding value here on DK. Sadiq Bey is too cheap still for his role without DeAndre Hunter, and now Bogdanovich is out as well. So correlating your lineups rather than trying to find somebody to outscore the chalk, I think is the best way to attack this slate.
Okay, well said.
I kind of got off track on the position by position stuff. I gave a good amount of guards. Let me just give a couple of forwards. Sure. I absolutely love Grimes. I think 25% is too low. Toppin at 28%. I don't love that ownership number. I'll still probably end up slightly over it. But where Grimes, I'm going to be try to be in the 40% range. I probably end 30% on Toppin. Let's see here. Bobby Portis without Giannis at 17%. I mean, come on. Like, these are amazing plays. Jaren Jackson Jr. has a 60-point fantasy ceiling tonight, and he's 9% owned. He's 8,100. Like, that's an amazing tournament play. Jaren Jackson under 10% is just ridiculous without John Morant. Jaylen Brown without Jason Tatum, obviously a massive ceiling. LeBron in a must-win game for the Lakers. AD as well. Like, there's so many awesome plays. This is one of the best tournament slates. Like, yesterday was there was 13 games and we had this chaos going down. There's 8 games now and it's still massive chaos. There's so many ways that you can play tournaments tonight. It's just an amazing slate.
Okay, very good. Let's go ahead and start taking some QQs. TJ, you want to add anything here before I start diving into it?
No, that's it. I agree with a lot of Keith's tournament takes. I'm on a lot of the same guys today as well.
Okay, very good. I am jumping into the RG Discord. If you're not hanging out there with us, you should be. I'll also be taking some questions from the YouTube. Make sure you hit us with that thumbs up, that like button for some of the best content in the biz. Scrolling up a wee bit, FanDuel GPP. Can we go max 4 Knicks? Because Tibbs plays his deuce to the ground, or would you rather go 2 or 3?
I'd rather go 2 or was that 2 cash or tournament? Sorry, but I'd rather go 2 or 3. My bad.
Yeah, and definitely in tournaments also 2 or 3. Like, 4 is a lot to ask for true ceiling from guys. I think 3 is fine, but I would not do 4.
Okay, very good. Nbad says FanDuel Cash TJ Nuara or Jay Smith.
I'd probably go Smith.
Okay. Mike says FanDuel GPP for both guys. Goodwin, or can we ride the Nunn train to pair with the min-priced Huff at center? And then in parentheses, yes, Roth, Huff is a real player. Didn't know that. Thank you.
Good note.
Yeah.
So it was Goodwin or Nunn. I'm perfectly fine with a pivot to Nunn. I think Goodwin's an outstanding play, but if Nunn ends up getting a little bit more run, I'm completely fine with that.
Okay, very good. DK GPP Ice right back at you here. Jay Davis or Goodwin?
I mean, in a vacuum, it's pretty clearly Goodwin for me. Make sure you're differentiated because Goodwin's extremely popular. But yeah, if I have to pick one just straight up, it's Goodwin.
Okay.
But Davis is far lower owned and could outscore him.
Yeah. J Sam says FanDuel GPP Ice. I've got a 2v2. It is projected the exact same. What is your lean? Kyrie and Portis or Luka and Cooks?
Man, Kyrie and Portis is certainly safer. Like there's a better chance you're getting a good score out of that side. I'm leaning towards this being a Luka ceiling spot. I'm feeling the Luka side.
But he's blowing up my lineup and making me make horrible plays. But I just feel like he might drop 80 plus fantasy points tonight. I don't know. I got a feeling. Okay, FanDuel. We'll call this a cash question. Middleton, Bain, or Levine? TJ.
Middleton.
Okay. J Sam says, looking at this Dallas Kings spread, doesn't it seem like Fox and or Sabonis will sit? Is it worth? This is a good question because I thought that spread was funky too. Is it worth waiting for in FanDuel GPPs? Love this question.
It is a great question because Sacramento is locked into the 3 seed, I believe. They clinch the 3 seed if they lose. What's that?
Dallas is like a huge favorite in this game, which is
yes, because it's an absolute must-win for Dallas, and Sacramento doesn't really need to do anything.
Yeah,
they're pretty much the 3 seed, no matter what happens to them. So I agree. Like, if Fox or Sabonis were on the injury report, I would have the same concerns that I had with Milwaukee today. It surprised no one when they randomly rolled Giannis out, even though he was probable. Yeah. Because they're not on the injury report at all, like there's going to be league repercussions if they roll them out. So I think you're going to have to see them pop up on the injury report in the next hour or so for them to possibly get rolled out. So I'd be very concerned about playing Fox and Sabonis because like they just don't need to get full run today. And if the game gets out of hand one way or the other, they're going to sit immediately. But I don't know that I would be building with Kings necessarily because I feel like Fox and Sabonis are getting rolled out.
Okay. A really good question. Really good answer. DK Cash, TJ, Bay Kawhi or Ingram Tyus?
Bay Kawhi or Ingram Tyus.
All right. Jeff says, is Aldama in play if Tillman's out?
Absolutely, especially if he's starting.
Crossover King says, in a GPP, does Naismith have any upside if you're playing Knicks, or would you rather play Royce?
What site was it?
It was, didn't say actually.
Okay. Don't love the price on FanDuel. Just covering that real quick here. I don't love the price. I would prefer Royce.
Okay. FanDuel GPP is the late night hammer little mini stack to pair with Kawhi, AD, or Braun if you had your choice. And I guess certainly if one's out, you're playing the other. But let's say they're both in. Yeah,
if they're both in, I mean, AD has just been going bonkers recently. I think it's AD.
Yeah, yep, I'm with you. All right, let's see what else we got here. Here we go. Bridges or Dinwiddie? Any love for either of them from Steven, guys?
Boy, really liked them before
earlier in the day.
Giannis, before Tatum, before Barrett. Like Bridges was very, very much in play. He's kind of an afterthought now. He's a phenomenal tournament play.
Okay. Very good. Dinwiddie or Triple J DKGPP?
That's going to be Triple J for me.
Adolfo says, any interest in a Russell Westbrook revenge narrative?
No.
Knew that was coming. Don't load the price. He's too expensive.
Got too priced up. All right. Producer pointing out Luca was on the thumbnail of the show, by the way, which lets you know that there are many people that think Luca's exactly. He's on the thumbnail. It's like when it's your bobblehead night, you got to smash. It's Luca thumbnail night. He's got to do it. Scott says FanDuel GPP center.
Center on FanDuel. You can certainly play Anthony Davis there. We just talked about him.
Brook Lopez.
Yeah, I love that call. Brook Lopez is a phenomenal call. Let me see if I can get you one other. I don't mind Nick Claxton either. Expensive. Jaren Jackson, you can play there. Love him. Lots of options.
Okay. I feel like I should point out the Knicks are also in a spot where by losing and getting out, they save a top 10 draft pick. So while I do think Luke is going to smash and they want to win, there's also some flip side to that where like they should probably want to lose and just mail it in tonight and for the rest of the season and save a top 10 draft pick. I don't think they're going to do that, but
I don't think they're going to do that either.
Yeah, I don't know.
The center question, I do want to highlight one more name. Somebody brought him up earlier. Jay Huff got good run last night, 26 minutes. He scored almost 37 FanDuel points. He's minimum price. So if you're looking for somebody cheap at center, Jay Huff, great play.
Oh, okay. Is he DK? Because I need a
cheap on DK also. Yeah, well, I just look at Washington. Jay Huff is 3,200 DK.
Okay, very nice. Where do we go? Darren, FanDuel Cash, TJ, Brogdon Smith, or Huff Levine?
Definitely Brogdon Smith.
Very good.
Huff Levine is a nice tournament lineup, but you can't do that in cash.
Okay, can you rank them? White Hart Grimes.
He just did.
There you go. Very good. Chinatown says DK Cash, TJ, the Knick player or players that have to be played in cash for defensive reasons, meaning they're going to be in everybody's lineup and you're kind of screwed if you don't have them.
I think Quickly is the only one that's like a absolute must. And then the second one for me would probably be Toppin.
All right. D-Rock, DKGPP. If Tillman is out, Ice, Brissett or Roddy?
Roddy.
J Sam says, if you're playing one lineup, do you like Huff or Duran on FanDuel?
Duran.
I love Huff in a single entry.
Okay. All right. Very good. We'll split answers
cash
there.
in your tournament.
There you have it.
Depending on what your field is.
Yeah. This is a game theory question. If we roll with the best players that became afterthoughts after recent news, would it give us an advantage if we pivot back?
Bingo. That's I know exactly what he's trying to say. That's Mikal Bridges right there, all over it. Dinwiddie and Bridges were popping all day long, and now nobody's playing them. Great point.
Gotcha.
Totally agree.
Okay. All right. Way to decipher that, because it took me like an extra after you started saying, I was like, oh no, okay, I get it. Let's see. Sugar Ray says DK tournament, Huff, Cooks, Fournier. Are they all? They're all 3K ish or so.
I didn't land on any Fournier today.
I agree. Fournier is definitely third. There's not even a guarantee he gets run. Like, yes, the Knicks are very shorthanded, but they know what Fournier is. There's no reason for them to get a look at him or anything. Like, he's not going to be on the team next year. And it was Huff or Cooks. I think I'd go Huff then Cooks, but yeah, no real preference. Those are definitely the top two, though.
Great. Steven says, can you play Wiseman and Duran together?
I would not do that.
I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah. Oh, both in agreement. Very nice, gentlemen. All right. Fox and Goodwin or White and Tyus?
That's White and Tyus for me.
Yeah. Even in a tournament, I agree.
Mm-hmm. And it's the concern, like there's some concern about Fox, right?
Yeah.
That plays at least a little bit into it, that like
it
he
does
might not get full run. Yeah.
Yep.
This is a good question. I never know what to do when Giannis is out, and whoever I pick always shits the bed. Shannon says, is Drew Holiday a better play than Brook Lopez or Portis with Giannis being out? Like rank your Giannis is out, who's in, because I can never get those dudes right.
So I would say just like Portis is popping as popular on DK. I would just play Drew and Middleton and Lopez ahead of him because they're not getting anywhere near the ownership. Because as far as me telling you I know the answer to that, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So just play the ownership game. Like don't play the chalk. Pivot to one of the, like if Middleton's chalk on FanDuel, play Lopez. It just like you just want to be able to pass more people by getting the guy right. You don't need to try to predict who's going to be right.
Man, you're good. You're good. That tournament mind of yours. TJ, what's up? You're looking at something.
I don't think this is relevant, but Mike Muscala, who's almost minimum price, is starting instead of Grant Williams.
Okay.
I don't think it's cash relevant. I think that does matter for tournaments, possibly. Like as a pivot off the Washington guys we were talking about, he's in play.
All right, let me try and get him in a lineup right now.
Yeah. All right. We got about 1 minute until lock here. A few more questions. Raw points here. Westbrook, Kawhi, or Brogdon, LeBron?
Brogdon, LeBron by a lot.
By a lot.
Okay. DK, GPP, Brown or Mikal Bridges? It's Jaylen Brown or Mikal Bridges?
DK, that was?
Yep.
Looking at his ownership. Oh, he's still unowned. It's Jaylen Brown in a vacuum.
Okay. I like how Mike in the chat. I'll get to it after lock. Portis or Duren, FanDuel GPP?
Portis.
Sorry. Nice.
DK Cash, 2v2, Hart Tyus or Duren Portis?
Hart Tyus.
Very good. This was the comment you get. You can take a second here. Mike says, TJ made a weird face. Can he share his revelation? I saw the same weird face and was like, TJ, you look like you have something to say. Like at the same time, I was like, oh, TJ's onto something. That was the Muscala news, the Muscala face. Darren says FanDuel cash, but I'm going to let Ice take it because TJ might be tinkering with things. Smith, Brogdon, or Grimes, Time Lord?
Smith, Brogdon, or Grimes. What Smith are we talking about here?
Jalen, probably.
Yeah.
I'd probably go Grimes, Time Lord.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
Both of the bigs in that scenario make me a little uncomfortable, but yeah, slightly the second one.
Okay. Matt says GPP, Goodwin, Portis, or Nunn, Levine, and we have hit the lock with this.
Goodwin, Portis.
Okay, very good. With that, I think we are going to bounce on out of here right at lock. TJ's been on like 6 shows today. He's tired. Ice was on the show before this. So we are going to get on out of here. Excellent. Like really, I wish I had 20 lineups tonight because I feel like you guys are like all over it tonight. I really feel like we're going to get some winners.
I got exactly 20 lineups on DraftKings, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be successful. I think you all are dialed in. We're going to bounce on out of here. Tid Forever says, are we taking Luka tonight? Like you can get a little bit of him because we think he's going to go off, but it takes away so many plays I want to play. I don't know.
That's exactly it. It's exactly it.
That's why
hit
you
the
have
like
20,
button on your way
in
out.
4 or 5 of them.
There you have it. All right, we're going to get on out of here. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Excellent stuff. For Ice, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.